All right, now we come to the moment. If you know me, I read better than what I'm reading tonight, and because I'm terrified. And so let me start by saying a few words as we talk about the proclamation that's on the agenda regarding Firearms Awareness and Safety Day. Okay, I see the smiles. Okay, so let me tell you the story about the first time that I gave a proclamation. Okay. And that proclamation was, I was standing, it was like I think my second day, third day as mayor, it was pretty quick, I mean, right after the election. And I was standing down at the Twin Peaks Mall, and I had to introduce Santa Claus. And my first mayoral proclamation, the children there, as mayor, I proclaimed, all of them forgiven. And starting on that day, between that day and Christmas, so long as they were good, Santa Claus would not bring coal. Man, the cheers were phenomenal, right? They just was like, the kids, the parents, it was a good day, right? You'll also notice that I do something a little bit different than past mayors. And that is every time we have a proclamation, or every time I get my picture taken, I make sure that City Council stands with me. And that is a reminder to myself and City Council that so long as I am sitting in this chair, we are a team. We are together. I am not the king. I make proclamations, but they're supposed to make people feel good and be for the benefit of Longmont, right? So we had a little problem come up this week, right? So history is, every year Mayor Coombs would do a proclamation for Mothers Demand Action. I also did a proclamation for Mothers Demand Action. I tweaked just a few words, managed to upset everybody, right? Because Mothers Demand Action were upset that I didn't read the proclamation as presented. And my response was, as long as my name is on a proclamation, I am at least going to agree with what is stated, right? And then a lot of the people in the room, they were upset because how dare you read a proclamation from Mothers Demand Action? And so at that point, I thought, this is not a feel-good moment for our community. And so at that time, some of you were present, I basically said, hey, you bring me forth a proclamation, as long as I agree with it, I'll read yours too, right? So a member of our community called me back in July, prior to July 4th. So this is months old. Jerry, are you here, Jerry? All right, there's Jerry, right? So it was before July 4th, and he says, I want a proclamation for the 4th of July. And that proclamation is going to say that we celebrate firearms, the Second Amendment, and as well as the appropriate safety functions of firearms. And I read it. All right, and so he said, okay, submit it. He submitted it. I read it. And my initial response was, I can't read this as mayor. It's going to be divisive for our community. It's going to be something that people take sides on. And I told city staff, no, I can't do this, but I will, just like I did with Mothers Demand Action, I will change it so that it's something that everyone could agree with. And I did that thinking that I had done that, right? So as you all are aware, if you read the Times Call, this week, on accident, someone at the city accidentally published the very first proclamation, right? It had in there what I considered inflammatory language, right? Meaning that it insinuated the statement, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Regardless of what you believe on that topic, that is an inflammatory statement, right? Anyway. And so then it comes out in the paper that we're going to read this proclamation and rally for our rights, and several people who are here and who endorse the Second Amendment and are basically as far on this side as you can get. We're excited about that proclamation. And then you have people like Mothers Demand Action, who many of which have lost loved ones to gun violence, were upset because, oh my gosh, how could the mayor, grandstand? How could the mayor approve such a proclamation? And all I'm thinking is, whoa, I didn't, right? And so I feel now, even on this proclamation, all this proclamation is is when you go to hunter safety, all it is, the 4 rules of personal handling of firearm safety. That's it. You know, something that universally everybody agrees on. But symbolically, this proclamation is no longer about that due to this week's paper. If I make this proclamation, what it's going to say is, I've taken a side, and this is a special, special week. Even though this started back in July, and I challenged Jerry to go back, and first of all, I said, I'm not going to just issue a proclamation if nobody's going to be here to accept it, because it's not one I'd make. That's not what happens with proclamations. Community members give it to me, I review it, and we read it, and we all feel good. So he went to Grandpa, and he went to Rally for Our Rights, and he got supporters. And I certainly understand why you'd do that. And so, but now, as a result of all the, what originally was just going to be a simple firearms safety awareness, firearms awareness and safety day, not a championship of gun rights day, the community's not going to see it that way. And tomorrow night's a special day, because I'd like to thank Dr. Waters, Councilmember Waters. He went to the faith-based community, and he basically said, hey, we would like to have a conversation on guns, gun rights, gun violence. Get everybody in the room and start talking. I don't want people to talk. I want people to listen. If I read this proclamation, what essentially I'm doing is I'm talking. And as the mayor, regardless of what I personally believe, as a community, my job, number one, is to hold Longmont together. My job as mayor is to hold this council together. My job is even, I would argue, to make sure that certain issues don't come before council. Right? So I'm not going to read the proclamation tonight. What I'm going to do is challenge the people in this room, and also I'm sure the people who are not here that did not come and who will be watching this as a result of, this proclamation. I'm going to challenge that the 120 people that have signed up, I mean, it's a full house on Wednesday night. I would challenge on Wednesday night both sides of the issue to come together, talk, and listen. And in an ideal world, both sides would bring me back a proclamation that this entire council could stand up and get their picture taken. That is my challenge. And so that's where we're at. Now, I know a lot of people came here tonight to have me read this proclamation, and a lot of people will leave upset. But as you do so, let me speak specifically to you. First of all, I appreciate you coming. Right? I thought about calling some of you, but I was like, I can't call everybody. But as you go home, I want you to think, okay, let's suppose I cave and I'm going to show people, right? It's not my call, right? It's not my call. And even if I do you really right now we are in a position where this council is willing to invite the public, independent of city government, to come together and talk it out. So my question, do you really want government to get involved in this right now? No, you don't. And so, but what you do want to do is do what I'm going to do. Show up on Wednesday, look across the aisle, metaphorically, and say, where are you coming from? Why are gun rights so important to you? And then on the other side, say, God, why are you so adamantly opposed to guns? And start listening to each other. And then bring me back a proclamation. And in an ideal world, as stupid and as impossible it may sound, let's issue a proclamation together. That's what I'd like to do. Sound good? All right. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes if you want. Go ahead and you can sign up on Public Invited to be heard. It's not, I just wanted to make sure that people had the chance to yell at me if they wanted to. I understand I'm disappointing some people, and I'm going to, let's take a 2-minute break and sign up if you'd like, and we'll go from there. All right?
Hello, Mayor, City Council. Rod Brandenburg, Grandpa's Pawn and Gun, 104 9th Avenue. I want to talk a little bit about the gun industry and what we're about over there. We've sold over 45,000 guns none of which have ever been involved in a crime or a mass shooting. 4 weeks ago Monday, I had 3 different customers between 9:30 and 11 come in to report their guns stolen. Now, it's people who are stealing guns. I'll share some facts with City Council. 99.7% of the guns that are involved in crimes were stolen guns. They were illegally begotten, so it's a crime problem at the onset. It's not a week goes by that customers call, report their guns stolen, and we provide serial numbers in an attempt for them to get them back. So we're not the problem. Criminals don't go to gun stores and pawn shops to buy their weapons, they steal them. Google search tonight if you want a little bit of homework. Guns stolen in America, there's over 500,000. 19,000 in Colorado. And that's a problem. So I'd like to see Longmont, see law enforcement focus on the bad guys instead of making out law-abiding citizens to be the bad guys and trying to take guns away from us. If Longmont wanted to be a shining example, why don't you try this? Boulder City Council refused to hear me when I spoke about this gun issue, but get parent patrols involved in your schools. I mean, who has a more vested interest in their kids' safety than the parents? You get 20, 30 parents, have PTA, PTO organize patrols at the school, break it up in quadrants, work with local law enforcement, and get some eyes on these kids, because they're not going to try this crap if they think somebody's going to catch them before they do it. But get parents involved. Set an example in Colorado, set an example in the United States. Do the right thing. Just picking on gun owners and picking on shops like me, it's a bunch of crap. You know, I paid over $1 million in sales tax to you guys over the last 18 years. I've been here since 1990. 27 years, that's probably longer than most of you folks. So I've seen this community grow, and you're barking up the wrong tree by going after gun owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brandenburg. Lance Tour, I'm sorry. Good enough. You can correct me. Toofy.
Mayor and City Council, I'm disappointed to say the least at the last minute change, but had no time to prepare any comments, but I'm glad I have the chance to at least make some statements. You asked us, why don't we listen? You hope we get together and listen. Well, the pro-Second Amendment citizens have been listening, and we've been listening and listening and listening to all the anti-rights and anti-gun rhetoric that the media has been throwing at us for years now. Any good things about guns is always buried or hidden, shoved away as soon as it can be. So we've listened. We want to know when we'll be heard. All they want is more laws, more laws, more laws, and it doesn't do anything. Every time there's a crime like this, any of the gun crimes, laws are broken. Not just one, not just two, usually more. So I don't see how more laws is going to suddenly light a bulb in the criminal's head and say, oh, hey, maybe I should stop. You ask us, do we want government involved? And that's where you're right. We do not want government involved, but the government is involved, and that's the problem. We're trying to get the government out from rights that we have that are protected by the Constitution and the amendments. We want the government to quit chipping away at the amendments to try to take the rights that are there, and they're ours. The government that has been elected to serve us has grabbed all the available power and is trying to rule us, and that's not right. We don't want the government trying to do this, and that's all I had time to think of, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tuvey. Mr. Lance Psycho. Spelled C-A-Y-K-O.
Thank you, Mayor Bagley. I'm disappointed that the proclamation wasn't read. I'm disappointed in you, 100%, as my mayor, as a person who spends a ton of money in this town and funds the tax base. I'm disappointed. We're all here because of the proclamation. I could be at home right now with my wife and kids, but I'm not. My wife is disappointed in me because she says, you're trying to do too much. And I say, well, we feel like we're on our heels. We feel like we've been on our heels since Boulder because we were all there for hours and hours and hours. And I know you guys know what it's like because you're here on for hours and hours and hours. I watch every city council meeting. I'm one of those people one of the 5 people on YouTube that watches that stuff because I care. This is the community I live in. This is the community where my kids grow up. So while your intention is that this is supposed to bring us together, I don't think it will. Like I said, we feel like we're losing. We lost in Boulder. This is why we raced to Longmont to try to defend our rights. You guys already saw me here speaking about gun rights once because we thought that the gun ban would spread. We don't have the money that Moms Demand Action does at all. Rally for Our Rights, an organization that I'm part of, is a 100% grassroots organization. We put our time, our own money, and our efforts into it. Okay? Again, I don't want to be here tonight. I don't want to be talking about this. We aren't the ones trying to take things away. I think that's the biggest difference. And the other side won't be honest about it. You know, except in Boulder. They were blatantly honest about it. They want to ban things. They want to take things away. So that's where all of this heated discussion comes from, is we would like some honest discussion, and I appreciate that the Councilman Waters has put together the discussion tomorrow. But we aren't the ones trying to take anything away. We're just trying to preserve and protect ourselves and our family. We've even adopted a 2-mile stretch of highway to clean up north of Longmont. We're those guys. We're not bad guys. We're here to clean up and help the community. So instead of by not reading the proclamation, I think what you've made it clear that so long as Moms Demand Action strikes first, they win. Instead of evening the local political landscape, it's again lopsided. How are we ever supposed to get to the root of the mental health problem if we are once again on the defense and they're on the offense? I don't think we're ever going to get there unless it's even. I don't think what we're going to have to do in order to make a proclamation for everybody is, you're asking us to compromise. We're already compromising. We're already on our heels. We want to have an honest discussion with those people, and we've held 6 rallies across Colorado out there in the public, trying to talk to the public. And every time we do have a few conversations, but at the end of the day, the other side doesn't want to come to the table. They just want to go to the government, and they want to get the government to do their bidding for them. That's not what we're about. So we'll try tomorrow, but I have to express how disappointed I am that this proclamation wasn't read, and I don't think the intent of not reading it is going to help. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Psycho. Patrick McClintock.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. So I don't know what it is specifically for Longmont, but I decided to look up the state of Colorado on the oath of office. And it says here, I blank do swear, affirm, or swear by the ever-living God that I will support the Constitution of the United States. So, Mayor, when you mentioned earlier that you wanted something that the City Council would come together for the proclamation, this has shown me that really the proclamation is about confirming our inalienable right to self-defense. And the fact that the City Council cannot come together for the oath for the Constitution that you swore to uphold is extremely disappointing. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And everybody here who is sitting over there signed up for tomorrow's discussion. We will be there. But I just wanted to voice how disappointed I am in all of you. You swore an oath to the Constitution. That's all I can say.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McClintock. All right. Let us move on to the consent agenda.